very good evening to you. Many thanks for joining us tonight on the broadcast. You're watching KUTV News at 9, and at this point, let's take a look at stories making headlines tonight.
What's next for Gachagua? Legislators to table impeachment motion against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua tomorrow after the High Court rejected an appeal to stop the process. Nationwide polio vaccination campaign in Kenya is set to officially start on October 2nd, targeting over 3.8 million children. The lack of disaster management laws continues to contribute to increased deaths, with the National Assembly facing severe criticism for neglecting the process of drafting these laws. And the government pushes to lower diaspora remittance cost, targeting 3% limit on fees for money transfers in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Anyango, Sylvia.
That's right, and our sign language interpreter tonight is Sami Okelo. Remember, this broadcast is also live on YouTube at KUTV News Kenya, and you can also send us your feedback. Engage with us on X at KUTV_Kenya at Anyango Sylvia KE. We begin. Now, the impeachment motion against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is expected to see the light of day in tomorrow's parliamentary sitting. Earlier today, former Secretary General of the UDA party, Cleophas Malala, filed a case in court to stop the impeachment process. However, the court ruled it out, allowing the process to proceed. Edward Nyamu with the full report.
Sisi hatuusi uoga wala hatununui uoga. Kila nyani iko na siku yake. Na yako ndugu yangu. We are waiting for Tuesday.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is now on the blink of losing his seat, with members of parliament being expected to table a motion to impeach him in tomorrow's sitting. The move of the motion is not yet decided, with many proposing Kimani Ichung'wah to lead the process. Despite Gachagua weak accusations, legislators have vowed to take him down no matter what it takes.
As I speak today, yesterday when I checked with the regions, we have over 260 signatures, and we want to get to 300. To the extent on whether or when it will be tabled, or if there is, members of parliament are actually competing on who actually should move. So Tuesday, if the speaker okays it, then it will be on the floor of the House.
Earlier today, former UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala presented a case to stop the impeachment process. However, his efforts were not considered by the court, with the court ruling that Gachagua can only file a case after the impeachment process is over. Gachagua, who now seems defeated, has called on his boss President William Ruto to come to his rescue, stating that he has a duty to protect his second in command.
Rais akiithinisha ningatuliwe kutoka kazini, na yeye aliahidi wa Kenya naibu wake hatateswa, hataingiliwa. Hata walipokosana na Uhuru Kenyatta, Uhuru hakumfukuza kwa serikali, aliwacha akae. Akienda ithinisha ati mimi nifukuzwe kwa serikali, itakuwa ngumu sana kwa Wakenya kumwamini tena, hata hapa kwanza hapa kwa mlima.
National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, on the other hand, has supported the move, stating that the DP has no authority to question his boss. The difference is the Kenya Kwanza camp continues to trigger reactions, with many stating that there is a hidden agenda within the camp.
Mimi natafutiwa makosa, lakini ile iko ni kwamba kuna watu ambaye hawapendi mimi kwa sababu ya kuongea ukweli. Unajua mimi ni mtu ya kuongea ukweli. Mambo ya finance bill, mimi nitoa maoni yangu. Sema vile mimi naona namna hii hapa iko shida. Wengine hawezi furahia. Mambo ya kubomolea watu, mimi nasema maoni yangu ni hii. Sisi tuliahidi watu ya Kenya. tutabomolea watu bila kuwapatia fidia ama kupanga pahali wataenda. Sasa mnasema tuwabomolee na ile ahadi tulipatia Wakenya. Watu wengi wako shida na mimi sana. Kwa hiyo
kama hiyo process itafaulu pale bungeni, ikifika hiyo wakati tutajua yale ambayo itafanyika huko mbele.
Leaders have come out to propose the next deputy president, with a number of Mount Kenya leaders vouching for Professor Kithure Kindiki and others proposing Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru. Questions now remain: will President Ruto save his deputy, or will he keep watch as his deputy is slaughtered? Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
And a section of religious leaders from Pentecostal churches have cautioned politicians to cease their diversionary tactics and focus on service delivery to the citizens. Led by Apostle Peter Manyuru of Jesus Teaching Ministry, JTM, the leaders have highlighted this norm now to be a political game, echoing that it's high time for the government to deal with the real issues affecting the country and not focusing on escape routes. This call comes as efforts by parliamentarians to see the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua successfully impeached continue to fill the air.
It has been a norm that when there are things which are, very pressing, usually politicians have their game. They bring in an issue to divert people's attention from the real issues, and that is their nature. And we are used to that kind of nature. So our prayer is that we focus on the main issues and we avoid diversionary tactics. So it becomes better. It is better that this government can live up to the expectation of Kenyans by addressing the real issues which are affecting us today, like the fires, the GNC issues, the Adani issues. All these issues need to be addressed. So us as a church, we're also praying that let us not divert the attention of the nation.
The Ministry of Health will launch a nationwide polio vaccination campaign from 2nd to 6th October 2024 in response to a recent outbreak of circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2, that is CVDPV2, in Kenya. According to Principal Secretary for Health, Mary Muriuki, the vaccination campaign will target over 3.8 million children under the age of 5 across 9 high-risk counties.
Although the WHO Afro region was certified polio-free in 2020, Kenya has confirmed another 5 cases.
A nationwide polio vaccination campaign will be initiated by the Ministry of Health from October 2nd to 6th of October in 2024 in response to the recent outbreak of circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2 in Kenya. According to Principal Secretary for Health, Mary Muriuki, this year 5 cases have been confirmed, including 4 children from Kakuma refugee camp in Turkana County and 1 in Kamukunji sub-county, Nairobi.
And the country is currently responding to this outbreak of circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2, which was detected in 4 children living in Kakuma refugee.
Ms. Muriuki emphasized the government's commitment to eradicating polio and highlighted the crucial role of over 107,000 community health promoters in the campaign's success. She said that the vaccination campaign will target over 3.8 million children under the age of 5 across 9 high-risk counties, which are Nairobi, Machakos, Kiambu, Kajiado, Turkana, Busia, Bungoma, Trans Nzoia, and West Pokot.
And this includes the 2,021,663 children under the age of 10 years and 1.8 children under the age of 5 years in the 9 high-risk counties.
Consequently, PS Muthoni says the polio vaccination will go hand in hand with social health insurance registration, which will be primarily done by community health promoters who are being trained on registration for social health authority registration.
We are very happy that we have kicked off the countrywide training of the CHPs in terms of the registration of the Social Health Insurance Fund and Social Health Authority, and we are doing this across the country.
According to PS Muthoni, the 107,000 community health promoters countrywide will have a registration radius of 100 households each, and where there are registration challenges, they will refer the cases to existing NHIF centers for help. Emma Mwangi, KUTV.
The National Assembly has been heavily criticized for failing to advance the process of enacting laws aimed at addressing national disasters, a situation that has contributed to the deaths of many students and citizens in various incidents, including fires, floods, and even drought. Speaking at an event in Kakamega County, a disaster management expert Pius Masai noted that many citizens perish in such incidents due to lack of awareness on how to handle them, as well as the absence of specific laws to address these types of disasters. He urged the National Assembly, through the Ministry of Education, to initiate an inspection process for schools and educational institutions across the country to explore ways of addressing various disasters and educating them on how to prevent them.
Wale parliamentarians wapeane sheria ambayo inapeana mwelekeo. Tukisungumuza tu tungojea majanga yakaja ndio tunaanza kurespond, hiyo ni reaction. Tunatakana tufanye kitu inaitwanga prevention na mitigation, yani tuzuie, tuwe na mpangilio maalum. Shule zinaungua, zinachomeka, hata shule saa hizi ukiangalia vile zinaendelea kuchomeka, hawana mikakati ya kutosha.
Torrential rains and severe flooding hit parts of Kenya earlier this year, causing devastation. Garissa and Tana River counties were among the worst affected, with homes destroyed and communities displaced. The floods not only damage infrastructure but also pose serious health risk. Humanitarian aid agencies such as UNICEF and community health promoters have been working tirelessly to mitigate the impact.
The March, April, May 2024 rains unleashed widespread destruction across 43 counties, claiming 294 lives according to the Kenya Red Cross. In Garissa and Tana River counties, thousands were displaced as floods submerged entire communities. Paul Wanzia, a public health officer, noted that residents were forced into temporary shelters, heightening health risks.
Watu walifurushwa na maji kutoka kwa makao yao ya kawaida, kabidi wahamie kwa temporary shelters, IDP camps basically. Kwa mji wa Garissa kulikuwa na IDP camps zaidi ya 5.
Dr. Mohamed Ahmed, Garissa medical officer, reported pockets of cholera cases caused by contaminated water. Community health promoters such as Zahara Abdallah have been on the ground visiting over 100 households in affected areas, assessing health conditions, hygiene and access to resources.
There was a lot of contaminated water post the floods, and we had some, pockets of cholera cases. We were able to swing into action and make sure that we increase community sensitization on how they should have their water treated, hand washing, aspect of it, and in general hygiene and sanitation.
Nimekutembelea hapa nyumbani kuchukua maoni yako kuhusu mafuriko. Penye umepelekana mafuriko tangu yaanze mpaka kufikia leo. Nachukua maoni yao, naandika kuhusu mazingira, mambo na usafi na afya, pia hospitali, kuhusu masomo, upande wa chakula pia maswali kuhusu chakula, mambo ya njaa hivi. Kama kuna msaada wote wa chakula wao wanapata, ama kama kuna pesa zenye za msaada wamewahi kuandikishwa kusaidiwa.
The efforts of CHRPs have been crucial in curbing disease outbreaks, with cholera cases mitigated to less than 2. Meanwhile, residents like Bahati Gakuya are taking charge of maintaining hygiene at IDP camps. Despite the challenges, humanitarian agencies like UNICEF continue providing essential support.
Mimi ndo mwenye nasimamia hicho yenye kwa hapa. Kuna wenzangu wenye tuko majirani, kila choo imeandikwa 10. Sasa mimi ndo mwenye nakaa na kifuli na kifungua, na leo duty yangu ikifika ni mimi naosha. Kesho pia namkumbusha mwenzangu anaosha yeye mpaka ifike mwisho.
Gender-based violence has emerged as another issue in the camps, with both men and women affected. Community health officers like Namna Mohamed are addressing these concerns through dialogue and support services.
Pia kuna wanaume pia wanachapwa. So wanaletwa pia kwa hospitali, tunaongelesha tunawaambia mahali ya kuripoti, tunawaambia uzuri ya kuishi kwa usalama bila vita.
As the community recovers, the combined efforts of CHRPs and aid agencies provide hope for those rebuilding their lives after the floods. Brenda Nyongesa, KUTV.
The Kenyan government is pushing to reduce the cost of sending money home for diaspora members, aiming to make a greater impact on recipients. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi says there have been extensive discussions on lowering remittance cost, targeting a cap of 3% in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Speaking at the launch of the State Department for Diaspora Affairs Strategic Plan, Mudavadi noted that diaspora remittance grew to $2.8 billion in 2024, up from $2.4 billion last year, with a projected $4.8 billion by the end of the year. The government is also addressing social benefits portability for Kenyans looking to return home, while boosting labor migration agreements abroad.
If for some reason the diaspora turned off the taps, our shilling would take a serious beating against other currencies. The strategic plan places the Kenyan diaspora at the core of government planning and acknowledges their role in enhancing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda and achieving the Kenyan Vision 2030. It also resonates well with various global, regional, and national development frameworks, including the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the African Union Agenda 2063, and the East African Community Vision 2050. Ladies and gentlemen, as the PS has stated, the government emphasizes the protection, engagement, empowerment, and prosperity of our diaspora.
On that note, we are taking the first break on the broadcast tonight. Don't go far, we'll be back with more stories.
Katika maisha yetu ya leo, wakulima na jamii nyingi kwa ujumla wanakumbatia teknolojia mbalimbali na kilimo hai ili kuondoa magonjwa sugu na kuongeza usalama na utoshelevu wa chakula. Mbolea asili imepunguza asidi kwenye udongo na kuongeza mavuno chungu nzima. Wajua tuko shambani, na humu shambani pia kuna ng'ombe, kuna kuku, na wanaacha uchafu wao. Na huo uchafu si wa kutupwa, ni wa kutumika katika kilimo kama mbolea. Kwa sababu mimea hii imekuwa kutumia mbolea ya hawa wanyama. Wakulima mbalimbali wamekumbatia teknolojia ili kuokoa gharama ya ukulima na kutumia nafasi zilizopo katika mashamba yao.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi vuguvugu. Pepo pa ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Welcome back. Remember to keep engaging with us on X at KUTV_Kenya at Anyango Sylvia KE. Now, following the cancellation of teacher strike by the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers officials, it appears that the decision did not go well with most of them, leading to widespread mental stress among them. The teachers also claim they're finding it hard to teach since their demands have not been met by the employer, which is the Teachers Service Commission, TSE. They have now devised ways to cope with mental distress.
Teachers from Machakos County held a teachers' night in Tyler just to bond and talk to each other as a way of revealing stress and encouraging one another to continue teaching. They blame their nation official for calling off strike without securing a deal with the government in regards to their demands.
We are here so that we can be able to relieve that stress in whatever way we can. We can talk to each other. We can be able to lend a listening ear to another teacher, so that we've had teachers dying because of stress. We've had teachers dying because of depression. This is one way. Coming together and airing out our grievances, our challenges, and advising each other.
Just Mandere, a teacher in Matungulu, says teachers are still aggrieved, dejected and demotivated, faulting the CJ Akelomisori for calling off the strike without consulting them. He also says their loyalty is what drove them to class, but seems to launch a truce to remove Akelomisori from office, saying it's time for the young blood to take mantle of leadership.
Akelomisori, together with the other secretary generals from the counties, sat and told us that they are not going to call off the strike. We knew our grievances were going to be addressed. But the following day, we were very disappointed, we were very dejected, and Akelomisori, against all odds, called off the strike without consulting the teacher.
Mambo Elias, teachers president, who initiated the idea, says that teachers are human too and can suffer just like anyone else. He feels that KUPPET has abandoned them as their salaries are being significantly deducted and many teachers are not being transferred.
Okay, this is the teachers president. We are here today at Taris, relieving stress. We are away from work. This is a weekend. We are here because there is a problem with the KUPPET. KUPPET has referred teachers. It is not defending teachers at all. AON is disturbing teachers. Teachers are being deducted twice the salary.
More than 200 teachers from Machakos and its surrounding areas attended the event. Inspired by its success, they plan to organize similar events across the country to reach more teachers. They believe this initiative will better motivate and help them achieve the best class of 2024. Rukia Hussein, KUTV.
Now let's switch gears to news across our borders. Israel unleashed a series of overnight attacks in Lebanon, and it announced the killings of another high-level Hezbollah commander. The strikes aimed to further rattle Hezbollah after airstrikes that killed the group's chief Hassan Nasrallah. Viewers Arash Arabasadi has the story.
Smoke still rises Sunday from what's left of high-rise apartments after an Israeli strike in the suburbs of Beirut on Friday. The Israeli military says it was targeting the leader of the U.S.-designated terror group Hezbollah. The group on Saturday confirmed the death of its leader, Hassan Nasrallah. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu labeled Nasrallah as someone set on destroying Israel.
Nasrallah
Nasrallah was not another terrorist. He was the terrorist. He was the axis of the axis, the central engine of Iran's axis of evil. He and his people were the architects of the plan to destroy Israel. Meanwhile, Hezbollah's biggest backer, Iran, raised a black flag atop the Imam Reza shrine following Nasrallah's death. The sign of mourning came as Hezbollah issued a statement saying Nasrallah joined his fellow martyrs, while vowing to, quote, continue holy war against the enemy and in support of Palestine. As hundreds of families now sleep in the Beirut streets, joining what the Lebanese government says are 1 million displaced people, the Israel Defense Forces released a series of videos claiming to show strikes against dozens of Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Israel says it warned civilians to get out of the way, but the country's leader blasted Israel's offensive.
Unfortunately, the law of the jungle that controls the world has made the Israeli enemy stall all efforts for a ceasefire and continue its war against Lebanon because it does not care about the law or international legitimacy.
Overnight attacks this weekend continued in Beirut, prompting concern for what may follow. Meanwhile, hundreds of demonstrators in Baghdad protested Nasrallah's killing and attempted to breach the fortified Green Zone in Iraq, home to the U.S. Embassy.
We're watching this very, very closely to see how Hezbollah and or Iran may react, as well as the militia groups in Iraq and Syria. We have to be prepared for some sort of response. We have to make sure that we are ready, and we are. We believe we have the force capability we need in the region, but it's not clear right now. Too soon to know.
Lebanon's health ministry reports more than 1,000 Lebanese dead and 6,000 wounded in the past 2 weeks. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News.
Both the U.S. Republican and Democratic vice presidential nominees have been preparing for their debate that will be hosted by CBS News Tuesday in New York.
Republican Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance recently shared what his primary message to voters will be when he debates Democratic rival Tim Walz on Tuesday.
That the candidacy, the team of substance, the team that actually has a record that we're proud of instead of we're running away from, and the team that actually has a plan is the team of Trump-Vance.
Republican Representative Tom Emmer has been helping the Ohio senator prepare for the 90-minute debate that will be hosted in New York by CBS News.
He can talk about the economy that Donald Trump fixed and that Harris and Biden broke. He can talk about the border that Trump fixed and they broke. And once he understands that Tim Walz is just going to try and deflect and go into this folksy whatever, he'll hold him accountable.
The Minnesota governor has also been reportedly sharpening his debate skills. His messaging to voters often centers on how consequential the November 5th election is.
It's all on the line, not just for the next 4 years, but for the next 40 years.
Reproductive rights will probably be one of Walz's strongest lines of attack against Vance, says John Mark Hansen, political science professor at the University of Chicago.
Vance may be pressed on whether, as President, Trump would sign an abortion ban or a very, very short period where abortions could be performed nationwide.
Voters shouldn't expect the VP nominees to provide a breakdown of their campaign's proposed policies, Hansen noted.
The debates are always more show than they are substance. The candidates have become very, very skilled at pivoting away from the question they were asked and instead addressing an issue that they want to address.
Voters who tune in Tuesday could get a sense of whether the vice presidential nominees provide them with a sense of comfort. But unless there is some kind of meltdown, Hansen says it is not likely the debate will move the presidential race's needle. Veronica Valderas Iglesias, VOA News, Washington.
We are taking yet again another short break. We'll be back with sports.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning
wisdom.
The Bible says, when he spoke, then he spoke a parable to them, that men always ought to pray and not lose heart.
Christ says, I stand in the door and I knock. Whoever hears my voice and opens, I will dwell with him.
Like the moon, I will fade, but like the star, I will rise again. And though I fall, be rest assured that I will rise again.
Go to the hospitals, tell them that God will heal them. Go to the prisons, tell them that they'll be free. Go to the crusades and tell people that Christ is coming, and sooner than the word itself, the second advent is imminent.
Ni nguzo na uso wa jamii. Kupanda shuka, akawa tuzo. Ukakamavu wake, ukatii, na kumfanya mwenye bidii. Kwa machozi na makeke, akabaini jinsi ya kuweni. Huyu ni mwanamke ngangari, kwa jinsi alivyo ng'ari-ng'ari.
Mimi ni mwanamke mwake.
Usikose kutazama kipindi cha mwanamke mwake, nami Caroline Kimwele.
I will never give up. Na hata nikisota show me something. Everybody wanna feel like me. You is like a river. Real thing, if I never mama, I wouldn't believe it. Hear me when I say just like.
Welcome back, and in sports tonight, 3KFC has thrashed Luanda Villa FC 1-0 in the second match of National Super League at Embu Stadium. 3K striker Michael Masharia saw the back of the net through a penalty kick at 65 minutes. 3KFC's coach Francis Chege praised his team's performance despite missing some key players. 3KFC are set to face Fortune Sacco in the upcoming fixtures at Kirinyaga Stadium. Luanda Villa's head coach Gilbert Selebwa remains optimistic about improving their standings despite losing to 3KFC.
Tunafurahia mechi ya leo. Game imekuwa game ngumu sana against Luanda Villa side, wamekuwa very organized. First half kidogo tulikuwa hatucheze vile tulikuwa tumeweza kujitayarisha, lakini second half tuliweza kuchange vitu kidogo tactically na ikaweza kuwork, tukaweza kupata reward ya bao ambayo tumeweza kupata, and I'm very happy kwa sababu ya vile tumeweza kuchunga hiyo bao ikaweza kupatia pointi muhimu 3. Mechi ya pili tumeshinda, sasa tunataka tupumzike, turudi mazoezi, tujitayarishe kucheza na mashabiki wetu ambao ni Fortune away from home. Iko na imani kubwa sana na vijana, very young team, na naamini ya kwamba sisi ndio tuko na timu young sana kwa league. Ni vijana ambao wako na talent, vijana.
Which means bado tuna mechi 36 actually. So it's a long process, but I'm very encouraged that despite the fact that tuliweza kufunga ile penalty, we did not lose hope. We kept on pushing. Na pengine tungeongeza dakika nyingine moja, maybe something would have happened. But shukrani kwa wachezaji wangu, hawakufa moyo. I think it's a learning lesson for us. We prepare again to play Migori next Saturday at home.
Now that is it from us tonight. Thank you so much for choosing KUTV and staying with us this far. Remember to keep it KUTV, as we will keep you updated on everything that is happening in the country. And tomorrow it is the State of the Nation. We will give you full coverage on everything that will be happening, especially concerning Gachagwa's impeachment motion that will be tabled in Parliament with Auma Evans. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Sami Okelo and Anyango Sylvia. Have a good night.